The Wiseman's Betrayal. Paul Heyman revealed as the mastermind behind the Raw mystery attacker. He smiled. He whispered. He planned. And while everyone was looking at the ring, Paul Heyman was already 3 steps ahead. Welcome to the moment the whole wrestling world just got flipped upside down. What is up, Suplex Rumble Nation? Welcome back to the channel where we break down every swerve, every betrayal, and every jaw-dropping moment in the world of professional wrestling. I'm your host, and today we are diving deep into the story that has the entire wrestling community absolutely losing it. Paul Heyman, the Wiseman, the special counsel. The man who has spent decades being the most dangerous voice in any room he walks into has been revealed as the secret architect behind the mystery attacker who has been terrorizing Raw for weeks. If you haven't been following along, don't worry, we're going to break down everything. The clues that were hiding in plain sight, the moment the mask came off, and what this means for the future of Monday Night Raw. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. Let's go back to where this all began because great storytelling always rewards the patient fan, and this story has been building like a ticking time bomb. For the past several weeks on Raw, a shadowy figure has been striking from the shadows. No warning, no clear motive. Superstars were being taken out one by one, some mid-match, some backstage, some right before their biggest moments. The chaos was real, the frustration in the locker room was real, and most importantly the questions were real. Who was doing this? Was it a disgruntled veteran? A returning legend looking to make a statement? A corporate move? Theories were flying everywhere across social media. The wrestling internet was on fire. And right in the middle of all of it, calm, collected, smirking that signature smirk, was Paul Heyman. Now, anyone who knows Heyman's history knows that when Paul is too calm, something is coming. This is a man who turned ECW into a revolution. A man who managed Brock Lesnar to the most dominant championship reigns in modern history. A man who stood beside Roman Reigns and helped architect the Tribal Chief era, one of the greatest long-term storytelling runs in WWE history. Paul Heyman does not do anything by accident. Every word is calculated. Every appearance is deliberate. So when fans started noticing he was always conveniently absent when the attacks happened, the pieces started clicking. Let's talk about the breadcrumbs because looking back now, they were right there in front of us the whole time. And that is the hallmark of masterful pro wrestling booking. Clue number 1: every single mystery attack happened on nights when Heyman was shown earlier in the evening seemingly doing nothing. No confrontations. No segments. No conflict. For a man of his stature, that level of invisibility was suspicious. Heyman always has a role to play. When he doesn't, he's playing a different role behind the scenes. Clue number 2: the targets weren't random. Look at the list of superstars who were attacked. Every single one of them had either crossed paths with Heyman's clients in the past, posed a threat to someone Heyman might want protected, or was positioned to rise up the card in a way that would disrupt a Heyman-aligned power structure. This wasn't chaos. This was a hit list. Clue number 3: the attacker's style. Fans who were paying close attention noticed that the mystery attacker was precise, calculated. They never stuck around long enough to be caught. They knew the camera positions. They knew the schedule. They had inside information. And who in WWE has more inside knowledge, more backstage access, and more ability to move through the shadows undetected than the Wiseman himself? The clues were there. The dots were waiting to be connected. And last night, or in this storyline's timeline, they finally were. Now let's talk about the moment. The reveal. The scene that the entire internet is replaying right now. Picture this: the mystery attacker strikes again, this time, in the most high-profile situation yet. The crowd is electric. Officials are scrambling. And as security rushes to the scene, the camera catches a figure retreating into the shadows. Standard stuff. We've seen this before. But this time a phone falls. A small detail. A throwaway moment that wasn't throwaway at all. The phone is picked up. It's unlocked. And on the screen is a message thread. A plan. Coordinates of attack. And the name at the top of that thread? Paul Heyman. The arena goes nuclear. The broadcast team loses their minds. And then, as if he scripted the whole thing himself, Paul Heyman walks out from behind the curtain, microphone in hand. That smile stretched across his face like a man who just won a chess game he started 3 months ago. And he says, and I'm paraphrasing here for our purposes, he says something to the effect of, "Did you really think any of this happened without a reason? I am Paul Heyman. I don't react to chaos. I create it." The crowd erupts. Half boos, half standing ovation. Because this is wrestling, and when a villain is this good at being bad, you can't help but respect the craft. That moment, folks, is why we watch. That is pro wrestling storytelling at its absolute finest. Let's step back and appreciate the genius of this from a storytelling perspective, because this isn't just a cool swerve. This is layered narrative done right. Paul Heyman as a hidden mastermind works on every single level. First, his character has always been the smartest man in the room. Positioning him as the architect of a months-long conspiracy is completely consistent with who Paul Heyman is. It doesn't break character, it deepens it. Second, this gives the mystery attacker's actions retroactive meaning. Every single assault now has context. Every victim now makes sense. The story didn't just end with a reveal, it recontextualized everything that came before. That is elite storytelling. That's the kind of writing that makes fans go back and rewatch segments they already saw, hunting for details they missed. Third, and this is crucial, this creates a new villain axis at a time when Raw needed a fresh power dynamic. Heyman as an overt antagonist, pulling strings, with a physical enforcer doing his bidding? That's a classic, timeless wrestling structure. And when it's executed this well, it feels completely fresh. Fourth, the possibilities this opens up are enormous. Who is Heyman protecting? Who is the mystery attacker loyal to, and will that loyalty hold? What superstar steps up to become the face of resistance against the WISEMAN'S machine? Every question this story answers, it replaces with 3 more equally compelling ones. That is how you keep people watching week after week. Alright, let's put on our booking hats and talk about where this story can go, because the reveal is just the beginning. The most obvious and satisfying direction? We need a hero. When a villain this powerful and this cerebral is the antagonist, the audience desperately wants someone to stand across the ring from him and say, "Not on my watch." Who fills that role? A beloved babyface with enough credibility to make the feud feel epic. Think a returning veteran. Think an underdog superstar who was on Heyman's hit list and survived. The story writes itself. There's also the question of the mystery attacker themselves. Are they a willing participant? Or could they be someone Heyman manipulated, someone who now feels used, and could turn on Heyman when they discover the full extent of what they were part of? A betrayer being betrayed is poetic justice of the highest order, and this story has that seed planted perfectly. And then there's the wildcard, other factions, other power players on Raw who will see Heyman's exposed hand as an opportunity. In wrestling, when one lion shows weakness, even the appearance of weakness, the other predators circle. This could trigger a full power struggle at the top of the card, and if booked right, it could be the kind of sustained storytelling that defines an entire era. Look, Paul Heyman has had a career full of iconic moments. He has been on the right side of history more times than almost anyone else in this business. But what makes this chapter so special is that it reminds us why we fell in love with professional wrestling in the first place. It's the long game. It's the patience. It's the storytelling that rewards the dedicated fan who shows up every week, pays attention to every detail, and holds on through the slow burns because they know the payoff is coming. Paul Heyman just delivered one of those payoffs. And if history is any guide, we're only getting started. What do you think comes next? Who should be the hero to stand up to the Wiseman? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now.